What's up? What's up, everybody? I got food in my mouth, but this is MB, sideline to baseline. MB and your boy K. Lou got that onion over there shining, man. That ball here is shining hard. Let's see some light.
Hey, hey, it's a tad bit of hair on there.
Yeah, I just saw it when you push your head down. I saw a little hair.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So
Not
you
a
got
lot.
that LeBron cut, huh?
Yeah. It's over with. It's over with now, man. What's going on? Man, of course, Watson in your wallet this week. Double A in the building, baby. And that's a great. Even though we didn't even have that to talk about, obviously we spoke of this 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Started talking about this again, and it's interesting. Right here in MB and Double A backyard, baby. The talk is Deshaun Watson's going to end up there. Jason was, obviously, on to Deshaun Watson and his brilliance long time ago as he started as a wee puppy at Clemson, and he was on him and felt like he was a difference maker. Dabo, to his credit, has always said this guy was a difference maker, and he turned out to be that indefinitely and with the Texans and Houston. Obviously, that didn't work out, and let's not even talk about what is off the field issue, but Houston just wasn't going to be the place for him. He wanted to win. Let's face that. And before all of this came up, he was asking to exit. Now I think, sadly, man, the off the field issue helped him because I don't think they were going to let him go, Jason. And I'll let you take over from there. And what your feelings are with Deshaun Watson now. We're hearing word that he may be a Dolphin.
Yeah, I would say, and this is going to be a little conspiracy, but, with you two having been in the league, you tell me, but it seemed to me, you don't want to just say suspiciously timed and that be the only reason, but it almost seemed like at first it was to hurt his ability to get out of there. It almost seemed as if it was, hey, look, ain't nobody going to want you. Look at this, you're here, blah, blah, blah. And then I think it just kind of I don't want to say backfired, but did not have the effect people thought because of the looseness of the allegations and just the complete disconnect between his previous character and the allegations. And I think to that point about it didn't work out in Houston. I mean, has it ever worked out for anyone in Houston? I mean, how is J.J. Watt in Phoenix? What's up with Andre Johnson? I mean, what's up with the franchise?
Yeah.
I mean, Arian Foster, came in, did well, had to get out. So, it just seems like there's a couple franchises that, how do you have such a profitable thing and you don't care about your players? Why does Cincinnati still not have an indoor practice facility? But, it just seemed to me that people didn't buy it. I mean, in the court of public opinion, where was Deshaun Watson condemned? I mean, those are some pretty serious allegations, and I haven't seen any hatred of him, on any, it just seemed like he got the benefit of the doubt automatically, even outside of the looseness of the allegations. So it's disappointing to see that he'll probably wind up, with MB and Double A, but, it's good to see that he's not going to be held hostage. I feel like if he was with some other franchises, maybe he wouldn't want out, but it seems like you can get out a little easier of a lot of other places. Houston just seems to view players more of a commodity, and Cincinnati did too. Remember with Carson Palmer when they were like, nah, until somebody had to come along and pay a price, and it just it seems very one-sided. It's very easy for people to get mad at the lockout and say, oh, it's just millionaires arguing with billionaires. Oh, well, it's also the future that they've worked for their entire lives until they got to this point, and then everybody is held hostage. And they're like, oh, well, you're getting a big contract. No, because when you're drafted, they got 2 free years out of you where they can lock you up for nothing before you hit free agency. So you want to play well. You do play well. But if you play too well, you're a hostage. So it just seems like when will the players in the NFL get even close to some of the power of the players in the NBA have? You know what I mean? And it just I feel like NBA might be too far, too much power, because you don't want because look, it's the haves and the have-nots in the NBA, so you need some parity. But it does seem like Deshaun Watson will be able to navigate it better than I think a lot of other players would because of his talent ceiling. Would this be happening to someone else? Like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Double A, jump in there and speak to obviously what the Dolphins are feeling like right now, and does this immediately impact their organization and catapult them into the contention area?
Well, even before you even get to contention, these guys' jobs are on the line. Greer and Flores, they're taking heat on a daily basis. I mean, if you remember right, Nick Saban couldn't handle the press down in Miami. Not that it's New York press and media, but the only thing that we always ever had down in South Florida was sports. So, missing on Tua and passing on Herbert or Herbert or whatever it is, Sherbert. They need to find they need to remedy that quick. Are they trading Tua at the same time? I'm not so sure, because I think with what happened to Deshaun in Houston, I think they're going to get him at a bargain at some sort. They're still going to give up something, but not what they should have to give up, because he's been poisoned or sullied to a degree. But until you know for sure, unless they do, and maybe coming to Florida where, like Texas, there are no rules, he'll be able to play right off the bat. So that's where I think the Dolphins are at. The Dolphins are, loaded with talent, but they are their own worst enemy at this point, from what I can tell.
Are they a player away?
No.
I feel like they might be. I mean, they got talent everywhere but there. And then you don't just put talent there, you put Michael Jordan there, as Dabo called him, right? I mean, that position, it's not like they just got the best cornerback in the league, or the best running back in the league. They got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think that can put them. I think Deshaun Watson in Miami, I think that puts them at a 50-50 with Buffalo. Any given time.
Yeah, they are equal at Buffalo at that point, but they're in the same problem that Buffalo has. They don't have a running game still that you can name off the top of your head.
Right.
But
if you can win your division, you can get in the dance, and I think that puts them in that conversation.
So MB, I think Deshaun Watson probably is the only guy I felt like that had the Cam Newton-like ability at the collegiate level, in that they determined so much so whether it was a win or a loss that you felt like sometimes that there's no way that team would have went undefeated had they not been there. Meaning, like you talking about, you point to 5-6 games in the season that you say you're minus this guy, it doesn't happen for you. So speak about that and his ability in the NFL. Has it changed somewhat, or is it still at that same level as Jason's speaking to? And then secondly, Jason brought up a great point. He said the power of NFL guys and NBA guys. I think it was Pac Jam that mentioned that a long time ago, and we spoke about it. Can you speak your opinion on that as well, MB? Because I kind of disagree a little bit with Jason. I think we've seen a few instances where that has happened now in football. So, MB, you speak to both of those topics and issues.
Well, I don't know. I'm still kind of with doubting Thomas.
Right.
I'm still don't think it's gonna happen. Remember, I was under the premise that till this thing clear up, till they get some direction, it's gonna be hard to trade them. Right. And I know the rumor is that by the end of the week, they're supposed to make the trade. And this is the end of the week now, so I don't know. And the head coach came out, and so is it live or Memorex? Because he's like, Tua's our quarterback, he's saying all the right things, this and that. So I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, the second they said it was a three-way trade, then I knew it was getting really convoluted at that point. That's whether it was Washington or Denver because that's where they're talking about where's Tua going if they're picking him up. Now you got Cam out there vaccinated who's looking to go sign on a team as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But as far as his ability to play, no doubt. I love what Jason said, that Dabo said that this guy's Michael Jordan of football in regards to his ability. He's a playmaker. And even at Houston Texans is kind of like put you in the mindset of Lamar Jackson in regards to this. Like, his main, let me back up. DeAndre Hopkins, he had a true number one, and
Correct.
And yeah, he definitely had a true number one. So I was about to use that, but I guess when the rubber met the road, when they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and he was like, "Yo, what's going on?" And what you was talking about, like Pac-Man was saying, he wanted to be involved in the hiring or have a say, and he was basically, they told him he was, and then now they left him at the altar, didn't include him on when they hired the head coach. So that's kind of got this thing started, So yeah, as a player, he's definitely a generational talent, and when you talk about with Clemson have the success they had, not if he wasn't there, he's definitely an impact player, and I agree with you when you talk about other people along that line, especially the quarterback position, that where you say, man, if that guy wasn't there, they wouldn't be successful. It's definitely Reams. I definitely echo that with you and those sentiments with you when it comes to him. He's definitely a playmaker, and you can't argue with what the success that he had in the league.
Right.
Last year led the lead in passing and stuff. And then last year he didn't have a number one receiver.
Right.
And
running
he had
game
guys
or great defense.
right, and he had guys that was hurt, inconsistent. The guys that was there, so he did a lot. That's the season I would compare to what Lamar, when I say didn't have a true. Once they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, he raised this game to the next level,
Right.
So anyway, but I don't know. I don't think, I'm still on the premise that it's not going to go down just because there's just so much uncertainty with that,
Well, yeah, I don't think it'd even be a conversation, MB. I disagree a little bit. I don't think it'd be a conversation had it not been already run by the powers that be, in the NFL, a la Roger Goodell, who has, I'm sure, let them know, okay, this is what we're looking at based on this. I don't think it's even a conversation because there wasn't one earlier, and all of a sudden it became one. So why did it, my devil's advocate is on the other side, MB. Why did it become a conversation?
When you say become a conversation, like what?
Because those coaches' jobs are on the line.
He can be moved because everyone know he's been available.
Well, you're talking about a conversation to this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Correct, to this degree. Correct.
Oh yeah, because early in the season there's conversation about him going to Philly, something like that. Because matter of fact, you sent me the article. I think
it's Miami.
Sports Illustrated, Peter King said something about that. Philly, may move something like that. So I think it's always been a conversation. But you're right, to this degree, it never been to this level where now it's like, okay, at the end of the week he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't know.
But
then also the trade deadline is creeping, so who knows? But you're right. Who knows?
The Dolphins just lost to the Jaguars. These guys need to save their job. That's why this is getting talked about.
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
That's the real.
Yeah.
You think it's a bogus press release? Maybe they're just trying to look like they're trying?
I don't think it's a bogus press release. Yeah. I agree with Double A. The fact that the dudes, they want to win, and that's I don't think it's a bogus press release. I think it's definitely some interest. I just still on the premise. I was like, man, I don't know. It's only a few teams that you could say that can get that done, and maybe Miami one. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
There's a no-lose situation if you think about it.
Correct.
All they got to say is they tried. If the deal doesn't happen now, the truth really doesn't matter. They can say we tried, Houston didn't, wanted too much, or blah blah blah. So in my opinion, I think that's a good point. Double A brought up. I mean, really, just even seeming like you're trying could take some heat off your job. You know what I mean? Because if the deal doesn't come through, I don't think anyone's going to blame Miami. They're going to say, I guess Houston wouldn't bend, or maybe they wanted too much, or maybe that, you know what I mean? And then Houston won't be able to defend themselves because what are they going to do? Set the market by coming out and saying what they were asking for? So they're not going to. So, I mean, maybe, I know that's not the point Double A was making, but I'm saying, that could be an aspect of it as well. Maybe
that's why I thought it was weird. If why did it become a 3-team thing? Why not send Tua right back? Houston needs a quarterback.
I don't think Houston wants a quarterback. I think Houston.
Well, and to piggyback, Jason, you got to remember, and MB took us on a journey earlier on, saying Deshaun wanted to move. Why? Because they didn't include him in the conversations of the head football coach, which puts him in the position of believing all the hype he's heard before. They ain't trying to win there. And that's exactly what this makes it sound like. The fact that, they don't automatically force Miami to put Tua in the deal actually validates more of Deshaun wanting out of there. Because it doesn't make any sense. No matter what you think of Tua, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Where does that come from, the not wanting to win? I mean, Cincinnati just seems to be that they're cheap or they're petty, so that comes to, everybody does business differently, with the Carson Palmer thing, or who knows why they're not doing an indoor practice facility. But what possesses the team to not want to win? I mean, their head coach, what was that? I mean, well,
there you go. It's not necessarily that. I think even Deshaun believes that they don't want to win. It's they are incapable of making the decisions to win.
Right.
So that's, I think, the argument with Houston.
Right.
Now, we've had teams in the past, go back to a la Cincinnati, that nobody felt cared. You think about the old San Diego Chargers, which is why, a lot of the Eli Manning thing happened. Didn't really think could put together people, or made the best decisions. So you can go back to that, and I mean, the whole consensus is if we start naming teams, you're gonna have an opinion on that, like right off. Just like, you know what I mean? I go Carolina Panthers, you gonna think one way about them, and I know that's your team, but it just made I went right there. You think the Rams, you gonna have a feeling on them about their organization, and are they putting forth teams and staff to compete? And you have a either or opinion. Ain't no in the middle with it, Jason.
Yeah, I mean it. So what's up? See a Dolphin? What MB says no. What do you think, Kevin?
I think he is. I don't think the NFL plays like the NBA, and we hear like 25 trade rumors every single team in the NBA every year, especially before the trade deadline. The NFL really doesn't function like that. It's mainly, man, we find out if what didn't happen. We usually find out why it didn't happen after this trade deadline. It's not like, they were lying. It's more like, they ain't want to give up this, or this guy said he wanted an extension once he got there. Like, it's always something. I just don't remember times where we're like, oh no, that was never gonna happen.
The Dolphins play the Falcons at 1:00 on Sunday.
That's a win.
Is it?
Have you seen Atlanta play this year?
I've seen the Dolphins play. Man.
Don't talk about MB quarterback. This is quarterback. And if you do that, it'll just
you know Matt Ryan?
Who?
Matty Ice.
Who's my quarterback? Matty Ice?
Yeah.
Hey,
no, that you hate Matty Ice.
But you defend him all the time.
Hey,
you defend him all the time.
No, I don't defend him all the time.
His tight end showed up last week.
You just hate him. He's on your list.
I just want to see what's all the hype. He continues to be top 5 paid, and somehow he don't win like none of those guys.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Best year they ever had, he broke the record for the amount of checkdowns in a season. He completed more
Yeah.
passes to running backs and tight ends behind the line of scrimmage or within 3 yards than any quarterback in NFL history.
So his progressions start. They don't start up way up high. They come down, huh?
Here's his progression.
Man, even with Julio, it was like that.
Like,
Even
yeah,
with Julio, Jason.
yeah. And then when
Wow.
when they were like, "Well, my God, we can't let another screen happen," then it's like Julio's out there somewhere. Like,
Oh, is that
that's
what
all
it
it is. Like,
Well, speaking about, we've dropped that NBA name a few times. Jason, you don't think you can put in on this topic, but I promise you will. Is basketball making a play for sports supremacy over football, guys? Like, that thought just came to me, man, and I started thinking, man, like probably the number one athlete in sport right now is obviously is LeBron James. I don't think that's an argument. And then when you think about after that, right? Because Michael Jordan had his time too, but NFL was still dominant. The other thing though is the best commercials going right now is Chris Paul, and if you don't believe it, well, NFL number one man is trying to piggyback off of that, Mahomes. So like at some and Chris Paul is a fading superstar at best, and I think I'd be kind calling him that. But somehow, right now, man, we've been talking about Ben Simmons over the offseason. When the last time we talked about the NBA during the offseason? Or you know what I mean? Where that's a major topic on sports shows or just, excerpts going across your screen. Like the Ben Simmons saga is a daily must-see read because you're trying to figure out, like, is he going to practice for real? Is he just going through the motion? When is Doc River and the organization going to throw him out? And we in the meat of football, man. Like
he pulled the mental health thing today, so now he goes back to getting paid because he's not well.
I don't remember this about us caring about NBA preseason or Steph Curry goes out for 45 in game 2. Who cares? It's game 2. They got 90 more of these. Like nobody usually cares. We're talking about positioning, who's gonna start pushing for that playoff position in football? Who's leading in the MVP votes? Who's dominant on defense? Who defense is gonna be the Super Bowl type defense? But this basketball stuff keeps seeping in, and MB, I mean, what is it about it? Are they really starting to try to make a push for being America's favorite sport?
I don't know. I think they're always trying to do that. I mean, it's a couple things. So first of all, I mean, we got to applaud them, right? They set the standard during this whole coronavirus thing. So I think from that standpoint, they definitely gained a lot of additional followers just because of the way they kind of did the blueprint with that, and then like we all know, as far as player negotiation and all that stuff, TV deals, all that stuff, they always kind of took the lead on that, in that regards. So I think when you talk about, I guess, the COVID protocol, on how to handle it from a team standpoint, they definitely have laid a great foundation, and they definitely led the way on how to get this stuff done. They definitely did that. As far as like the Ben Simmons thing and normally in the meat of football, you don't hear that. I don't know. Typically in basketball, you never really got that as much. I think last year they got it. I think what's name kind of started it with Harden, all see same scenario.
No, that was during this. That was during the season. That trade happened during the season. Yeah,
because he criticized his. I think it was
that
like
trade
right at
was
the
during the season and probably right after All-Star break. Yeah,
was it that? I thought it was. Yeah. I thought it was. Okay.
No, that's my point. We weren't talking about them just a year ago during the off season. Like nobody, I mean, last offseason, we even had a conversation about was AD and LeBron, and it was short. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think with basketball, because you don't see this. I don't know.
This is the third NBA season in like 9 months. You had one end, then you had the bubble, and then you have a new one, and then you had. I think the other thing is you have such a attention deficit population now in this country. Whereas you got college football Saturday, there's a Thursday night game, there's an NFL game Thursday night and Sunday, but you have the baseball playoffs going on right now, and regular season NBA just blew right by that and said, we're number one, we're the number one brand, and we're the number one product, and that's what people want to talk about. And it's every night now. They got games on every night. You don't have to wait till Sunday.
And Jason, I'm gonna throw this one to you, man. Double A just said something. He threw college in there. Are we at a point this year where we don't have enough studs in college? You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, like, let's say the word Heisman right now, what name just jumps off the page? We've always had that. Is that what's giving basketball that alley right now, that we don't have those superstars in college?
I think what it is excellent point about the Heisman thing. I didn't even think about that till you just mentioned it. Yeah, I don't know.
It's October. Almost end October. We don't know who it is.
Yeah, but week one.
But we've always known.
Yeah,
even though if we're wrong, we could throw out 3 names.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't.
What it would be is whoever the running back is for Alabama and whoever the quarterback is for Oklahoma, and then insert some honorable mentions and blah blah blah. But I think for me, part of it is parodies kind of come to football.
The what?
Parodies kind of come to college football more than in the past, and so it's not a lot of separation anymore. I mean, look, I think Clemson kind of started it with Alabama. Well, Clemson kind of started it by becoming Clemson, out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
And then once we, made Nick Saban bleed a little bit, he lost his luster. And I think the majority of it is, how regimented football is, college and pros. We just now got to where we're consistently getting games on Thursday. That was a twice a year thing back in the day. And, still in college, you might get a Friday night game that nobody knows or cares about.
Right.
It just seems like it's not prime time. You know what I mean? I mean, NBA's got primetime games. MLB even has primetime games. The NFL, Sunday, Monday, Saturday for college. And then some of those are in the middle of the day. So I think the NBA has done a better job with optics and with fan engagement and how they handled COVID. I mean, NFL played, but they didn't have the bubble, which was weird but cool. So some people tuned in for that. You know what I mean? And I think plus, like you said, the NBA was able to capitalize on captive audiences. People were at home. So what were they going to do? And if you looked at when COVID hit at the end of the football season and kind of burned through the summer. And by the time football kind of came back last year, COVID wasn't, yes, we were still in lockdown. And, you know what I mean? So I think just timing wise, NBA just struck while the iron was hot. I don't think they could ever eclipse because, again, year over year, has there ever been a year where college or pros, the football has made less money? I think they're just upward trajectory. I think it's just that the quantity of availability of the NBA has just been paying off more and more recently. I mean, they are just in prime time more often.
Man, that's interesting. And I'm gonna throw this at you guys because what are we? 2, 4, 6, week 8, 9 college, right? And we're talking about parity in college football. Jason, you said, I just pulled up the schedule for tomorrow. These are the games, man. Have y'all paid any attention?
They're weak.
Ain't nothing great.
Yeah,
Cincinnati, Navy, Oklahoma, Kansas, Northwestern Michigan, Illinois, Penn State. I'm going to skip through because this will get some more. UMass, Florida State, Texas Tech, Kansas State, drop down to Oregon, UCLA. Well, that sounds good except for one of them is unranked. Yeah, UCLA. Clemson, Pitt, used to be one of those dogfight type games that, regardless of what Pitt was, but Clemson, you know, they were going to give Clemson a fight at least for a quarter and a half. Well, guess what? Clemson's unranked, Pittsburgh's 23. But you run through it, Tennessee, Alabama is the game of the night or day or I don't know, but we feel like it's going to be a blowout because Alabama lost.
You must only be looking at that top 25 because Miami NC State's at 7:30.
Well, a game that nobody cares about, but I will tell you.
You talking about Duke?
The biggest game that's going tomorrow, period, is Notre Dame USC. Like, that's where we are right now. So when we talk about college being able to they laid down for the NBA to take over this season, I mean, there it is right there.
There's
A Notre Dame USC game headlines all of tomorrow.
But I think parity did it, though. I mean, look, you know, Purdue came in and killed our Cinderella story of the year, you know, because everybody wanted Iowa to matter, you know.
App State beat Coastal Carolina on a Wednesday night game. Wednesday night. What was that?
So, and it's Coastal Carolina, too. So everybody was waiting.
This is a team that felt like they were ready for the big time last year, Jason.
Well,
just a year ago.
That's a party school, man. Let me tell you something.
Told BYU bring it. Told BYU to bring it, and they brought it.
I don't know. I mean, so is that your vote then, K-Lou? You think in 2 years NBA will have the lead?
Well, I think the perfect storm happened. You talked about it. NBA made a statement. AA made a statement about 9 months. You know, they played 4 seasons. I think we know them the best, clearly.
And they're global. Don't forget that.
And then MB made a statement. This ain't just started. They've been trying to do this, and they gonna continue.
but they're top heavy too.
Not only that, is they had the best plan for this situation. So who else got to play three whole seasons in 9 months? They the only ones seem to be able to get it done.
Do you think them being so top heavy hurts? Their lack of parity?
They've always been like that, though. I mean, they just named the top 75, and I ain't think I'd be able to talk about that at all. But they just named the top, what?
75th anniversary.
Yeah.
Right, and in that they named the top 75. Well, guess what? Like 4 or 5 names we're thinking about are in there now. You know what I'm saying? And that's usually, you know, one of those things where you don't always see that. And if you be honest, like most old school basketball fans are probably gonna fight the people that wrote that right now because they ain't agreeing with it. Mm-hmm. But you have Giannis in there, of course. LeBron's there. You got James Harden in there, like guys that are playing right now.
Don't forget your boy Durant in there.
They put Dollar Dame.
Right? Yeah.
Don't forget your boy.
No. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, that's an argument. Like you say, KD name, nobody's gonna argue with that in that situation. But Giannis, you gonna start getting that. James Harden, you gonna start getting that. So to that NBA's credit, they just struck it rich again because they're gonna have people arguing those points.
Yeah.
I think Michael Rappaport might argue that point about KD a little bit. See that? You see their little back and forth last year?
With KD.
What happened? What happened?
KD and
they had a Twitter spat
going back.
Gotcha.
But he wanted him. He tried to force him to apologize. I'm like, not KD, not in the media. He's not. That was the wrong way to come at him. Had you privately asked for that, he would have clearly did it, but not that way.
Did you read the little DMs? KD was messaging.
Oh, he's going in.
They were in junior high.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff he was saying, like, I was like, God, how you have $1 million? 1 million.
Jason.
1 million, and I would not even talk like that anymore.
Jason, but to KD's credit, he's always said that he's here for all of the back and forth,
He was
which
trying
is
to
why in the beginning he had these dummy accounts that he was attacking people with. Like when you come at him, he coming at everything.
But to try to fist fight a comedian,
Why
like,
not, man?
man, the first million I get, velvet chair, velvet robe, a fireplace.
That's not even a
breaking my
comedian. That's a D-list actor.
yeah, like everybody confuses him for the ESPN guy. So like, you know, and he was on Law and Order once. Like that's it. That's all anybody knows. So I don't.
Wow.
That was weird at KD, in my opinion. I can't think of a single time such a high-profile athlete, knowing the age that we're in, sent a DM like that. I don't. That was wild to me. You didn't see it when that happened, Kalu?
Yeah, I did. I was just agreeing with you and talking about the story. Yeah, like there was a ton of back and forth in DMs that, you know, was going on heavy, and then Rappaport exposed him, put him out there because he thought. And it's so funny in today's world with the cancel culture going on or not going on, depending on how you see it. Yeah. You initially thought, but not so much. Like KD said, hey, yeah, and I said about your mama, basically, and then everybody moved on.
How's that make you feel if you're Michael Rappaport when they're like, you kind of are a douche though? So
that's what it was like. They were like, oh, but it's you, and no one cares. That's KD.
Too.
He gonna hit 45 tomorrow because of you. So if he playing against my team, I'm pissed off because you just made him mad. We don't give him that kind of anger.
Hey, what you have to look forward to is that KD's going to have that same Twitter thing going on with Kyrie at some point this year.
No, they've had.
No, I don't think so.
The entire time.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes the media can try to force something that's not there, and I think that's what it is in that situation. MB will tell you, like, they've had that conversation a long time ago, so he knew they were headed here if that was ever a situation. Guys like that, remember, they were close before they became teammates.
Right,
This ain't no situation where being teammates brought them close, which is most of the time our situations, but for them two, they were close before.
Yeah.
Hey man, moving right along, you know, talking about college, that, you know, keeps us right there. Who makes the top 4 in the BCS? And, you know, because, I mean, I looked at those ranks. I pulled up, had the BCS even.
You went old school with the BCS.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah.
The playoff series or whatever
college,
they call it.
What they call it, college football playoff.
It's still the BCS.
But it feels like BCS, though.
But
it feels like some computer is doing it.
but I'm trying to figure out where their rankings are and where do you guys think everything ends up? Like, who's your top 4? You know, because we got to start having that conversation, or we ain't no real show, man. We got to have that conversation and be able to say, you ain't know what you was talking about, Kalu, again.
Yeah. No, we've been having it, but I don't. They haven't came out with their top 4 yet. You know, their rankings.
Correct. That's why I'm saying we got to both do that and talk about it.
ESPN put out an article today about like the 6 different scenarios, which you pointed out in your email, Kalu. 2 SEC teams, Oklahoma and Michigan. 2 SEC teams, Oklahoma, Ohio State. You know, where does Cincinnati fit in? Yep. And it was like 10% each for each scenario. There was about 6 different scenarios of that. 4 of those 6 teams going to wind up in it.
Well, since y'all seem to be tiptoeing around the conversation, I don't think nothing changed. Bama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Georgia. Then here's my wild card: Georgia, Michigan. Get thrown in there, so y'all go ahead.
No, I want to see what happens with this, because I want to see what happens if, obviously, the ACC right now they're not going to get in it, because the highest ranked team right now is Wake Forest. They play North Carolina State in the season, and both of them double digits, so they don't have a way. So what I want to see is somehow, some way, right? If this scenario pans out where okay, where Georgia loses against Alabama, right? And then you get either Oklahoma or Ohio or Oklahoma State go undefeated, and you get maybe Michigan or Michigan State go undefeated in the Big Ten. With
Gundy always
Cincinnati,
blows it. Forget about that Oklahoma State thing.
you said what?
Gundy always finds a way to blow it. Forget about that Oklahoma State thing.
I'm just thinking, okay. Well, somebody come undefeated out of Big 12, right?
Right.
And Georgia end up losing against Alabama SEC championship, right? And then somebody come out undefeated in the Big Ten, because right now the Big Ten's got 4 teams ranked in the top 10,
right?
5 in the top 11,
right?
And Michigan State
play each other,
But
they play each other, don't they?
Right. I know they all play each other.
Right.
I'm just saying. That's why I say
Ohio
one team
State
out of
too.
there come out undefeated, right? Will they screw Cincinnati? And I think the answer would be yes.
You just heard me say this ain't even no conversation. Cincinnati plays nobody.
They played, well, the only ranked team they play now is they played obviously Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, which I told y'all was going to determine who played for championships.
I know they're cheering that Notre Dame win the rest of the games, but also the only other ranked team they play is SMU, who's ranked currently 21st. So I just see them being on the short end of the stick in that scenario, because you would take a one-loss Georgia over undefeated Cincinnati.
Alabama.
Huh? Say what?
Or 2-loss Alabama.
No, I don't think you'll take a 2-loss Alabama.
Yes, you will.
I would. No.
What if before?
You lost Ohio State
against a better team.
Talking about revote. They would do. Now they would, but they could take a. They wouldn't take a.
I always go with history, MB. When it boils down to those, Pat Jam always gets pissed off at me because Notre Dame somehow gets involved with this historical thing. And I say, I don't care how it ends up, Notre Dame ain't going home. So y'all keep picking them, and they're the only ones that, and they'll be 3rd or 4th in the mix. And I'm saying Ohio State or Clemson's 1 or 2, and I'm saying, look, they ain't going home.
yeah, but I don't, Kalu, I don't think they can't, unless it's a 2-loss champion come out of the Big Ten, they won't take a 2-loss Alabama. Yeah, they won't, especially because they got the ugly loss against A&M.
Okay,
you know?
but they won't call it ugly. You watch the conversation. They won't call it ugly.
Yeah, they'll say it's last play of the game.
And it happened during the right time, MB.
Yeah.
Remember, Alabama's on the road and they lose on a final play. That's called a tie in college football. No. At least in the college football playoff rooms, that's called a tie.
No, I don't think that.
It's loud.
I mean, because now you're talking about taking a 2. So you saying they'll take a 2-loss Alabama over, say, a 1-loss Big Ten or Big?
No, now you're talking different language.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll be wrong, but they'll do it. They'll be wrong to do it. They'll be wrong to do it, but they will do it.
Cincinnati's got to blow out everyone they play the rest of this year to even be in the conversation, regardless of how all these things unfold. Period.
But I think if this thing unfolds, even if the Alabama, I know you're talking about Cincinnati, but it won't get to that point because there's some other teams I think would leapfrog Alabama if Alabama got 2 losses. You know, like the Big Ten champion, a Big 12 champion.
Georgia, Oklahoma, Michigan, or Ohio State.
You're going to get loss. If it's Iron Bowl, it depends on that second loss. Are we talking Iron Bowl or are we talking SEC championship?
No, I'm talking about second loss to Georgia.
I'm talking about
second loss to Georgia.
Yeah.
You got an unranked loss against A&M at the time. You got a second loss to Georgia. I don't think you'll take a 2-loss Alabama.
I agree.
Over a champion from Big 12 or Big 10.
Yeah.
I think,
and I agree with that too, but that's not what you posed in the beginning. So
but do you know?
No. We was going back, but no, I posed that you want a 2-loss Alabama won't get over
those two that you
Cincinnati.
named, but definitely over Cincinnati, no problem.
I don't think so, man.
You know when we'll
Because
know?
Cincinnati played, they're looking good. I mean,
If they're
got
All
undefeated,
they need
they
is
got offense.
one bad game that they barely win against.
Yeah, if you
We
factor
see
in
how
that,
that's
yeah.
looked at.
Yeah.
That's looked at as a loss.
You know
Yeah,
when
I can see that part. If they,
No,
but if they
when they
continue
do
going
the
on the
BCS
trajectory they have, they're one of the teams you look at it where they got
But they got to blow out everybody.
they got a complete team.
They got to blow out everybody.
What week do they release the BCS standings? That's when we'll know, because right now Cincinnati's number 2 on the AP. If they come out and they're 4, forget it.
Yeah.
If the BCS puts them at 4 or the CFP puts them at 4, they are saying we just need one. We just need one bad quarter. That's all. You know what I mean? They will
just said a bad quarter, LB.
Yeah. If they put them at 4, that means they're saying in that room, "Hey, look, let's get them a little bit of shot. Hey, anybody can get in." You know. But if they come out at 2, then that gives them very little time to slide them to 3.
they got 6 more games to play.
You know what?
Cincinnati.
I think Jason,
That's a
I think
long
it's the
way.
other way around.
Long way.
I think they do put them at 2, right? Just because the way, especially that Big Ten schedule, those teams are playing each other, right? So
Right.
it's set up to justify when you got Ohio State playing Michigan or Penn State playing Michigan, or just those teams because of the records and their ranking. They can put them at 2 just to tease them, but knowing if they continue to go with the schedule trajectory, that they're going to get leapfrogged just because their schedule is weaker.
You can't drop
So
2 to 5, but you can go 4 to 5 pretty easy. So I would bet my life CFP will not put Cincinnati above 4. There's just
Above what?
Above 4. Because the work needed to go from 2 to 5.
If I'm a better man, I'll take that bet, bro. I don't.
All right, let's do it.
I'll take that bet. Just
sign
the
up
way
for a rival subscription if I'm right.
They're at 2.
Rivals, baby.
Yeah,
You said what? That way.
They're at 2 right now at 6-0, and in the same conference you got SMU at 7-0 is at 21.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
You know,
that's the only other ranked team they play, and then they play them. They play them when they beat them, they play them again. You know.
I hope.
And
I think AA saying though, look at the disparity. Like, what other conference looks like that where the top 2 teams ranked are that far apart? I think
makes
that's
sense.
a repudiation on that conference right there. I think is what AA saying.
Yeah. How do you have 2 undefeated teams and one is ranked 2 in the country and the other is 21 at this point of the year?
right.
SMU hasn't played anybody. At least Cincinnati's played Notre Dame.
Right.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, I read somewhere that.
So how do
that
they
had
hold
the
it from this
fourth-ranked
point on?
schedule? Huh? Say it again.
So how do they hold it from this point on? I think again is what AA and probably me are saying right now. Exactly your comment, Jason.
No, and that's what I'm saying
puts them in the position to drop right out of there because
and I'm saying the same thing too. Because remember, I started the scenario: if Alabama beat Georgia, right, Cincinnati could be outside looking in because they strength of schedule. That's the whole point I was making. That's what I started at the beginning.
Correct.
I think the worst part though is.
But I was saying a 2-loss Alabama is not going to leapfrog. That would be.
I think
they'll be stealing. Go ahead, Jay.
The worst part of it is they'll be right. Like, we'll be upset about it. Like, oh, the legitimacy, blah, blah, blah. But if you turn the camera off and we're like, hey, $100, who you betting on? You know, and I hate Nick Saban. Like, but I'm just saying. So, you know, does anybody in here really think Cincinnati's got any chance at all, regardless of who the other 3 are? Will they even win a game?
No, I think the Big Ten has turned out to be way too dominant. The Big Ten is as physical as the SEC has ever been right now.
I think it's 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams. I think that's what you wind up, unless Oklahoma winds up in there.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma always figures out a way.
So
that's why
I think the Big Ten looks good within the Big Ten. I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a big Big Ten guy, I guess. I feel like the only team in the Big Ten that could compete ironically, isn't the strongest team in the Big Ten. I think that's Ohio State. A
Wow.
neutral field against Alabama right now. Is anybody choosing Penn State? Nope. Let's not even waste our time with Iowa. But Michigan State, Michigan, no. You know what I mean? And again, only Ohio State because it was 5 stars. But other than that, like I just don't think. I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing.
I don't know why your hatred is out there against the Big Ten, Jace. But if you really think about it, the only team that's been able to beat up on them, and I'm talking about beat up on them, is Alabama. Like you had the 1 year with Clemson, but guess what? They killed you last year. Like
3 years.
Hold on.
Last year was the first time Ohio State's ever beaten Clemson. Kevin.
Right, but I thought it was a split, so they went 3, not 2.
We beat them 3 previous years within the last 6. Look it up. Remember, we beat the heck out of Braxton Miller with Taj Boyd.
So you going way back.
5 years ago.
Looking forward a week, you've got Michigan State next week, right before Halloween. So you're gonna know which one of those teams has a chance. Because whoever wins has got to beat Ohio State.
Well, that's the thing. Because they got to all play each other, especially because they're all on the same side.
Yeah, that same side is the dominant side. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
so they all could possibly beat up on each other, which is what Cincinnati is banking on.
Which CMB, but I think that actually helps them more than it actually hurts them. That's why I know. That's why I said. Double A's going. If you listen to Double A, he's saying the same thing because he's saying 2 Big Ten teams, 2 SEC teams, no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that
you
means,
talking about it helps.
That
you
means
saying
the champ of the Big Ten and the team that doesn't have to play in that championship of the Big Ten, like Alabama. Was it Alabama that year? Yeah. That didn't have to play for the SEC championship and still made it in the Final Four.
Yeah, and won it with Tua.
But you're saying, so K-Lou, you're saying that it hurts them if you don't have a clear-cut winner of the Big Ten, meaning they beat up on each other, Michigan beat Michigan State, and Ohio State beat Michigan or something like that.
Absolutely. I think that does more to damage Cincinnati than it does to help them.
I can see that.
November
20. It clears the way, and we'll only have one representing the whole thing. Versus, man, they fought tooth and nail. Just think about Penn State, 1 loss again on the road to Iowa. Same scenario, last possession, last play type of thing. That is not a loss. I just don't. Right. I hope we haven't fooled ourselves into thinking that these ADs and all these people they picking that go in that room and they look at that game and say Penn State lost. They ain't doing that.
And look at how the scheduling gods worked out. Michigan State, who could still be undefeated, let's say if they beat Michigan on November 27th, last game of the regular season, plays a 1-loss Penn State team at home. That same weekend, you have Ohio State, Michigan playing each other.
Yep.
So 2 of those teams could potentially come out of that game. Ohio State could be a 1-loss, and Penn State could be a 1-loss, or Michigan State could be undefeated.
I think
huge for Harbaugh. He's coming out smelling like a rose, baby. He was on the hot seat. Now he the man.
Yeah.
We'll see how the year ends up. Because he sure ain't his brother. That's the rose.
I personally, I think the big test is not even going to be against Georgia for Alabama. I think it's going to be how they play against Auburn. I don't think Auburn is as good, but you watch. I think if Auburn even makes that game close, I don't think Alabama. You know what I mean? Because look, Auburn got blown out by Georgia, but Auburn has a schedule. I mean, if you looked at their remaining games, just about every one is against a ranked team. So I think if Auburn loses a few more times and they have a bad record when they go in and that Iron Bowl is close, I think that is going to taint the committee's view of Alabama should it prove necessary. You know what I mean? So I think if they barely beat Auburn and then lose to Georgia barely or barely beat Georgia, I think that benefit of the doubt for Alabama goes away.
Any great play against Georgia helps anybody. I don't care who you are.
Georgia's got to get by the cocktail party next week. They play the Gators in Jacksonville.
Florida has found a way to lose ball games, and now I'm with the crowd saying, you know, that game against Alabama, if anybody else was coaching, Florida beat Alabama, because this ain't looking good for Florida, because now we go from thinking that they were just so to really thinking they got a lot of talent in Florida, and their record ain't saying that.
So Pac Jam posted this week. Can you imagine that there's not Miami, not Florida, not Florida State, not UCF, not USF. There's not one ranked team in the top 25 out of the state of Florida right now.
Yeah.
That's insane. I can't remember that in my lifetime.
I'm saying I don't think Georgia's undefeated for the SEC championship game. They may win the SEC championship, but I think they're coming into there with a loss. So I think it's going to be a one.
Who you think they're going to lose to, Jason?
I
know you said that before. Who they lose to? Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they approached this game more seriously than they did last week in a dominant performance against. They look like an old Alabama team against Kentucky, where it's like, look, we're going to tighten it up. We're going to run the ball. You ain't going to be able to do it. And then we're going to 7, 14, 21. And before this thing is over, this looked like this was never a game, but you guys know, you
I don't think so. Because they can't put up points. I don't think.
Who can't put up points?
I don't think Georgia can keep up with Florida.
Who?
Georgia. I don't think.
Georgia. Who's that quarterback for Florida, though, guys? We saw the same guy that almost beat Alabama is now not the guy. So who plays quarterback?
They got the same problem that Oklahoma did. They got the kid on the bench.
They got a two-headed quarterback going on.
Yeah.
That's not on purpose over there.
Who?
It's definitely not on purpose at Florida, because Dan Mullen guy is the original starter, not the backup. You can clearly tell that.
But the backup is what might save his job.
Exactly.
Whoever finished the game versus LSU, that dude was playing well. I forgot.
That's him. Yeah,
Richardson,
that's the backup. Correct.
Big kid. Yeah. So, he's the Oklahoma kid. He came off the bench. He's the real deal. That's who they want.
You know, the juiciest tidbit here we haven't even touched on is Georgia loses. All right. Let's say they, in or not, but they have a loss. SEC championship game be damned. Let's say they got a loss. What if they don't get the benefit of the doubt Alabama got a couple years ago? Bad loss in the season, didn't even win the SEC championship or do win the SEC championship. Do you think an SEC champion Alabama gets in and Georgia gets left out, whereas Alabama got that benefit of the doubt without an SEC championship? Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I think the same situation happens because it's almost Kentucky's not on their side, right?
On whose side?
That's what would have to happen. Kentucky would have to play for the SEC championship for your scenario.
Well, I didn't mean exactly, but I'm just saying, let's say Georgia goes in and then just gets blown out in the SEC championship.
Oh, yeah.
By who? By Alabama?
Yeah, it's over then.
Without a loss? Undefeated?
Even with the loss.
Is the SEC championship, but it's a battle. You know what I mean?
What? Say it again, Jason.
I'm saying if their one loss is the SEC championship, but it's a bad loss, and then they're out. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I think he's still in.
Really?
That's the scenario I painted from the beginning. When that's what I was saying. Like, if Georgia loses against Alabama, I think it's Alabama, Georgia, and then the Big 12 and the Big 10. I don't think
before Alabama had a loss though.
That would put Cincinnati out, huh?
But that was before Alabama had a loss, and we were kind of with you there. But if now they lose to a one-loss Alabama, because before it was like, well, everybody will lose to Alabama, but now it's kind of like, well, Texas A&M didn't. So so it's kind of like,
and Jason, and we're figuring that Florida should have beat them. That's the conversation now. That should be a 2-loss Alabama team.
That's why it makes it so much juicier now, whether or not you would put Georgia in losing to Alabama, because now they didn't lose to everybody else would too. Now they lost to Alabama. Like, you know what I mean? That's a little different than what we were thinking a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got Georgia. Yeah, I that's the scenario I painted from the beginning. I think if they lose to Alabama SEC, they still in.
The scenario changed though, because Alabama's not what we thought they were.
No, but Alabama is ranked whatever Alabama ranked high. 4 or 5. You said what?
Pac Jam just had a seizure somewhere based off what I just said.
You said what? Say it again.
I said because Alabama's not who we thought they were, and I pounded the podium.
I got you.
But that's a little different, like Kalu said, like could be 2 loss.
I don't think Bama would blow Georgia out in a SEC championship game. I think the defense will keep them in that game long enough. So
I think Georgia, my opinion, Georgia makes it to the SEC championship, and if they lose against Alabama, to me, they still in. They just, you got they losing against a 4th, 5th ranked team from Alabama,
But if that's their second loss, are they still in?
No, I'm saying with no other loss. If that's their only loss, to me, they're still in.
Well, Jason specifically said they get blown out by Alabama,
if
and that's what I was asking.
To me, I think they're still in.
Well, the CFP has never looked fondly on end of the year games that played out like that, guys. They just haven't.
What have you done?
They don't want to see a repeat. If it's a close game, they want to see the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
That's good TV.
I think right now, Alabama, Georgia, I think Alabama can change modes. Georgia has to win their way. You know what I mean? And I think Alabama, hey, look, we need to play ugly. Okay, we need to shoot out. I think Alabama can do more. And I think Nick Saban,
no doubt, I agree with that.
I think Nick Saban's going to be like, well, beat me with your arm, because that guy can't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, if you stare at Alabama, what did A&M have to do? A&M had to keep them guessing, mix up some blitzes. They
pressured the heck out of it.
Yeah. And Georgia can pressure, but can they cover? You know what I mean?
Right.
And can they creatively pressure? And then when they get the ball, I think A&M.
Can you do something besides run the ball, right?
Yeah. Right. That's the thing. Yeah. I think Georgia defense matches up well with Alabama offense. Because they don't have to pressure, they can get a consistent rush from the front 4. But you're right. Offensively, though, they got to do more than be able to run the ball, because they're not going to be able to run the ball consistently on Alabama.
He won't let him. He'll take it away.
Yeah, but
you have to beat me with your arm. Nick will definitely do that. That ain't
This is all for nothing though, because they losing to Florida by 10.
I think you're right. I don't think they get by next week.
I don't know about that.
They lose by Florida.
They're gonna find a way to lose it, man. And I hate to say that.
Yeah,
it's the cocktail party, man. It's Florida, Georgia, in Jacksonville.
Florida better learn how to stop the run, because
anything can happen in that game.
He was running like
if LSU
going beast mode on him.
Right. If LSU ran for 360?
They better learn how to stop the run.
But you can scheme to learn how to stop the run. You can't learn how to pass. You know what I mean?
You can't scheme no run. You can scheme passing and pass rushing. You cannot scheme no run.
I'm saying Georgia can't learn how to pass all.
Let's transition to this. If Florida don't win that game, obviously Dan Mullen's gone. So that's another coaching vacancy open.
You think he's gone?
I'm with him.
He's on the hot seat.
At least
they want his head.
Or at least the alumni are going to be saying that, because MB, it makes no sense, man. Like right now, you're talking about them being good enough to play Georgia. What are they? 3-4. What is it now?
It ain't pretty.
4-3.
4-3. Okay. Yeah. And we're talking about they're good enough to be the number 1 team in the country. Like, you can't have both of those conversations and not have a conversation about the head ball coach. That's all.
I don't think. I don't know. Yeah, they're 4-3 right now. I think they'll get rid of the DC before they get rid of him. They'll give him one more chance.
I'm just saying, that's, you always tell us and you always write about it. When they with you, they'll figure out a way to put together, string together enough words to save your job, and if they're against you, they'll be able to do the same thing.
Right now, he's got a built.
You need to tell us, put together 2 or 3 sentences to save his job, and you got 2 guys on here saying it's no way they lose a game against the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's got a built-in scapegoat with the defensive coordinator. They're blaming the DC. You
think they're beating Georgia? You think Georgia beats Florida, MB?
Huh?
You think Georgia beats Florida?
I do. And I agree with you. Like, Georgia got to learn how to pass the ball, but I think, and it's going to be a good game because Dan Mullen, he knows how to attack that scheme. He does a good job attacking that scheme.
So how's Georgia going to keep up?
But
with
I love Georgia defense, huh?
How's Georgia going to keep up with them if Florida puts up points?
Yeah,
and fail.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, offensively,
Pressure.
Florida's not the
Pressure.
juggernaut they was last year. Last year, man, that thing was on steroids.
Yeah, but pressure.
I don't think they're that. I don't think they have enough offense to make it like that.
And they got to win with the number 1 guy because the number 2 guy is a run guy, which plays back into Georgia's advantage.
But could we do it?
I think the alumni and old Florida faithful have forced his hand. He has to go with that number 2 guy. I don't think that helps him. I don't think that helps him at all.
Yeah.
I think you put a headset on any one of the 4 of us and put us on the Florida sideline for the cocktail party, we can beat Georgia. Look, tell me I'm wrong. Set the edge, stunt the tackles, press coverage. What are they going to do?
3-3-5, baby.
You got that Danny Warfield. You got Danny Warfield. You got to throw from the shoulder.
Hey, I'm single high safety all game. And I'm gonna take everything over the middle because I don't think Georgia's quarterback can thread the needle to the sideline. I don't think he can put it over the top. You know what I mean? And I think they're going to get T-Rex arms by halftime over the middle.
Yeah, you definitely got to make them. You can't. Florida definitely when they play, they definitely got to make them pass the ball. Definitely. But
muddy it up at the line of scrimmage, trip people up. Make it a mess. And I don't think anybody's going over the top.
Man, well, we appreciate y'all. I think that's a great way to end the show. We appreciate y'all coming through, pulling up, hollering at us, because you know us. Watson in your wallet, baby. He coming double A in the building every week, man. MB, K. Lou, Sideline to Baseline. We are gone.
Appreciate you, fella.
All right.
Later, guys.
Later. Father God, I thank you for the show. I thank you for all you're doing. I give you all the praise. In Jesus' name, pray, man. MJ, where's mommy? She went where? Say it again. Oh, somebody's coming in right now.